All right, guys. Happy Friday. Hope you had a good week. This is T from Simpler coming at you with a weekly recap. So March, it's been an interesting month. It hasn't been the easiest month, and for those of you, especially the newer traders, if you've simply kept your head above water here this month, I congratulate you because, that alone, especially for newer traders, is some solid stuff. If you can just keep your head above water. The back and forth nature of the market, for so many of you, if you've been trading for, say, 12 months, a year and a half or so, you only know one environment. It's no fault of yours. It's just you've kind of grown up, so to say, in this market environment that kind of consistently and relentlessly grinds higher. So when we go through these little short-term, bursts of volatility and a little bit of this consolidation, it's new for a lot of traders, and it can certainly be pretty frustrating. So we'll get into the numbers as far as how everything's going here for the month of March in the Sunday video, but we have done a pretty solid job here. Show you a couple of this, right? We've done a pretty solid job here in the options room over at Simpler, making the most of the chop fest. So, we'll get into the details here in the Sunday video, but we've really been kind of scaling down in position size, focusing on iron condors, and I think we got about a 65-70% win rate on the trades that we've placed and closed so far here for the month of March. For me, really scaling down on position size. And when it comes to a couple of swings, for Google and Amazon, if technology can just simply get it going here into April, for me, this is where the bulk of the money is going to be made. So I got the Google April 16th expiration put credit spreads. I have got the same thing, April 16th put credit spreads for Amazon. That's where all my capital is. And everything else we've been doing here on a weekly basis in between with the condors and some call credit spreads, they're all pretty small position sizes. The month of January and February were pretty damn solid. We want to protect those gains here during the month of March, which historically tends to be a little bit choppy. So when we're talking about tech, when it comes to, you can be trading Google, you can be trading Amazon, Apple, whatever tech stock it is right now, it's going to be at the mercy of the Qs here. So a really good push into the close. Obviously an ugly afternoon. Big rip there. So the Qs finish strong. The market finishes strong. We got to see the Qs getting back above the 21. I think if we can grind higher next week, and if we can end up closing above the 50, I think you're going to see a pretty decent push here for technology. Not necessarily immediately back to the all-time highs, but nonetheless, if we can kind of get back on our own 2 feet and get back above the 21, we can start that move higher. And then, of course, at that point, we should be in pretty good shape on the Amazon and the Google swings. So those are some of the bigger picture swings I've been focusing on. Obviously, trading anything tech related right now hasn't been easy. What has made it a little bit easier is focusing on those, call it weekly income trades, while we're waiting for things to develop. So we were able to close in the options room this morning another iron condor on the SPX and on the SPY for a good 70-75% of max profit. We were able to do the same thing last week. So those iron condors, they can benefit from, the choppy nature here of the market. The only difficulty with the iron condors, typically when they tend to work best is when we're going into a brand new squeeze. You're going to kind of do nothing but chop back and forth. Those Bollinger Bands tighten up. And as we're going through that process of building up energy inside the consolidation, you sell some calls to the upside, you sell some puts to the downside. The back and forth nature makes the iron condor the perfect trade. Keep in mind, though, that in the course of, the squeeze there, all we're doing is building up energy. And in the midst of all the back and forth chop, you're getting ready for that big directional move. So we're never quite sure if it's going to be a move to the downside or to the upside, but regardless, after these phases of back and forth chop, you're building up energy. At some point, you tend to see the energy get released in the form of a directional move. So while we're building up energy, those iron condors are the perfect trade. Once that energy starts to get released, it's certainly where things can get a little bit interesting with the condors. So we did put on another one here this afternoon, and as you can see, the market decides to really get it pumping here into the close. So we've been chopping back and forth, all this, basically noisy price action. So we're milking these condors. At some point next week, over the next few weeks, you should expect a little bit of direction from the market. And at that point, those condors can get a little bit difficult. Here's the one that we opened this afternoon. After we closed the other one for a profit, we have Wednesday's expiration. So March 31st. Keep in mind the market is going to be closed this coming Friday for Good Friday. On the put side, we sold the puts at 3,900 and bought the 3890s. And on the call side, we sold calls at 4,005. Right above the big psychological level of 4,000, and then we bought the 4015s as protection. So again, the perfect trade when we're chopping, but in the midst of the chop, all we're really doing is building up energy, getting ready for a directional move. So it'll be interesting to see if this coming week, next week, is going to be the week where all the energy getting built up here inside the squeeze starts to get released. Preferably, that move takes place to the upside, because surely we'll take a hit on the iron condor, but the swings in Amazon, Google, those should hold up pretty well and move the ball forward. So, interesting week. Such a big part of being a consistently profitable trader is taking what the market has to offer. With the quarterly expiration and some of the back and forth this week, last couple of weeks it's been iron condor season. It'll continue to be condor season if all we do is chop here, but inside a daily squeeze with stacked EMA'S, a positive histogram, you could get that directional move sometime soon. So make sure, as always, you got a nice balanced portfolio. Do what you can to take what the market has to offer, but be flexible. Be ready to change your game plan at any point that the market changes course on you. So we will get into the nitty gritty and the numbers here for the open and close trades this week in the Sunday video. I do got a good focus list of a couple opportunities I want to cover with you and a few more things that we'll jump into. But until then, rest up, enjoy your weekend, and I'll talk to you Sunday. Peace.